Check it out, it's your man KP, and I like to teach. Not the smartest man in the world, but I like to read. Coming with some straight facts that you got to see. You're now rocking with your boy, Vin Arc MP.
Autumn, when you're eating Asian cuisine, what's your favorite kind of sauce?
Soy sauce.
Soy sauce or soy sauce?
Soy sauce.
Are you sure it's not soy sauce? Say soy sauce.
Soy sauce.
Soy, S-O-Y. Soy.
Soy sauce.
No, not soy, soy.
Soy.
Yeah. How can you say strawberry?
Strawberry.
Oh, man, that's so cute.
Hello, this is Autumn, and you're listening to my dad's podcast.
The social construction of happiness. There have been a couple social construction episodes that I've done so far, and those have been very fun. But I realize the ones that are getting the most attention are the ones that are really just audio recordings of my ramblings. I'm very honored by that. I think that the the smartness of a thing is very important to be able to grab a book and break down knowledge. But to be honest with you, the way the world's going, a lot of people don't got time for that. They just want some understanding. And I am totally here to give that to you. So with all due respect, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Today's episode is called The Social Construction of Happiness, or the social construction of thinking big, or the social construction of why sometimes it pays to keep people away from happiness. And I want to get into all those things. So the other day, I'm driving in the car and I'm thinking, what should the next episode of this social construction series be? And I thought that it should be something that I'm really excited to talk about, which is called preference or persuasion, which actually was going to talk about the social construction of a human in America's sexuality, whether or not you are truly interested in what you are sexually as a preference, or were you persuaded through your years of media ingestion and talking to family and friends? Were you persuaded to like what you like? I think that's going to be a real interesting topic, and I think I'm going to hold that one for now. I realized that it was very important to talk about happiness and truly what the conceptualization of happiness looks like. I have a brother. His name is Tubi. Might be the greatest dude of all time. Very, 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 very close to being the best dude you've ever met when you meet him. There's never been somebody who truly disliked my brother. And my brother has never truly spent time intentionally trying to be liked. He's just a good man. And he's been that way since I was in elementary school. And him being 2 years older than me has always been a blessing, because he always, as my dad would say and my mother would say, was a trailblazer for me. We went to the same elementary school, middle school, and high school. So whenever I would enter a new grade, people would always say, "Are you Duvall's brother?" The other day, my brother has a great job working for a major airline. And the other day I was traveling through one of the airports that he used to manage the airline out of a big terminal there. And every terminal I went to, because I kept missing flights, it's a long story, but I kept getting rolled over as a standby. And every single terminal that I went to, people would say, "Excuse me, can I see your ID?" They would look at my ID. I'd put my face mask down. And they said, "Wait a minute, are you Duvall's brother?" And everywhere I went, people would show me the utmost love. And it was because of this blessing or favor that I've always had in my life, where I have a biological family member who I also resemble in the face, who is a very happy person, and that happiness rubs off on a lot of people, and that's always blessed me. I've always tried to do that for others by being the best person I could be. I think that I was very blessed to have parents who truly taught my brother and I the importance of being a good person and why It's important to never try to shyst a person, cheat a person. My father taught my brother and I a lot about manhood in life, and my mother taught my brother and I a lot about spirituality and doing our best to be godly men. So it was such a great balance. So when I think about my happiest days in my life, I would say from the day I was born to the day I was 10, when my parents got divorced, I was super happy. Super Nintendo, Pop-Tarts, Jamaican food, a big old family. It was just amazing. And then my parents got a divorce. And I remember when my parents got divorced, I remember my father said to my brother and I, you guys are men, and one day you'll see what life is all about. He said, I don't care how you feel about me during this divorce process. I don't care what people tell you about me. I don't care if people say I'm a bad guy. You guys are men, and one day you'll see what life gives to men. And he was absolutely right, 100% right. Life can be brutal. It does not matter how good of a person you are. I remember people used to make fun of me a lot when I was a kid, call me Steve Urkel, call me nerd. People used to even call me gay when I was a little kid, like in 6th grade. And I have no idea what the hell we knew about gayness in 6th grade. But it's easy to forget how grown you think you are when you're a child. And I remember coming home and complaining to my dad, like, oh my God, people are making fun of me. They're so mean to me at school. Instead of comforting me, I remember my father saying, they killed Jesus, and you'll never be Jesus. Why do you think people won't treat you bad ever? He thought that my complaint of being made fun of or bullied or harassed was ridiculous because there were greater men than me who have lived, who have been treated far worse. That never left me. That thought never left me. And to be honest with you, that was one of the things that helped spark my pursuit of happiness, if you will, at a young age. I realized that life truly is what you make it. Everything about life is truly what you make it. By the time I graduated high school, I was diagnosed as dyslexic, but the blessing is also I went to one of only 2 high schools in Los Angeles County that had a video production program. One of only 2 high schools in the entire Los Angeles Unified School District that had a free video production program. I fell in love with video making. I thought I wanted to be an illustrator at one point, but it was actually film and television production where my heart was. So I was very blessed at an early age to find something that truly made me happy. I would use my dad's old VHS camcorder to record my first videos and use VHS tapes to dub and edit. And I'd go to the 99-cent store to grab my blank VHS tapes. It was just, there was always a blessing. Whenever I looked for something, there was always an opportunity I could find. And that was just a blessing of growing up as a young man. So I encourage all of you to make sure you find your happiness. Find what makes you happy. But my God, even that won't prevent you from being brutalized in this world. So fast forward, I graduate from high school. I get accepted to Tuskegee University. I have no money. I can't go to Tuskegee University. One of my best friends, Trevon, actually goes. And I'm still in LA. I moved to West Covina with my mom. I'm working at Kmart. I am miserable. I'm not happy at all. And then I go to this Black College Expo at the San Antonio or Mount Sac Community College with my cousin Shannon. And I meet this woman called Teresa Price. Awesome woman who I'm still dear friends with to this day. And Miss Price introduced me to a recruiter from Shaw University. And I applied, got accepted. They mailed a letter home. They said one of your parents needs to sign it. I forged my mother's signature because she was not trying to let me go, if you will. Let me fly. Never try to hold me back. My mother's been and still is one of my biggest supporters. But, man, I had to forge my mom's signature on my college application just to go to college. In the long run, it all worked out. I went to Shaw University, had an illustrative career there as a Shaw Bear, started the first syndicated television show at Shaw University, and Became the president of the mass communications department by my junior and senior year. It was an amazing college career, and I wouldn't give it away for anything. I was so happy. Then I left. I went to grad school in Savannah, Georgia, to get a master's degree in film and television. A couple of my friends from Shaw and I all went, Markia Chappelle, Cyrus Alexander, and Steven Starks. We all went to Savannah College of Art and Design from Shaw University. So that was really amazing, an amazing experience. And while at the Savannah College of Art and Design, I met a young woman who I ended up marrying a few years later in 2016. And we have a beautiful daughter together. Her name is Autumn. That's the voice that you hear in the beginning of the podcast. Audie, say hi.
Hi.
Yes. So life was amazing. Life was great. So I'm 24. I have a master's degree. It's 2012, 2013. I moved back to Los Angeles. And I'm like, man, I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get into into Hollywood. Like, I'm from LA. Things are great. And this is where life starts. Life kicked my behind. There's a humbling phase that every young adult goes through. And this was mine. I thought that studying to show thyself approved, as the Bible says, means literally a certificate from a school of higher learning, and that's going to guarantee you something in life. It does not. So I'm living at home at my father's house, trying to find work, working odd jobs, trying to get money, and ultimately starting to go through depression because of how embarrassed I was. That here I am, the youngest, most educated person in my family, and I've got nothing to show for it. Nothing. Not the first person in the family to get a master's degree, just the first to do it at 24 years old. And nothing came of it. I remember a friend of my Aunt Olive's. She had a colleague who worked at a major film studio in LA. I went for an interview, didn't get a job. Found out there was even a typo on my resume. Just super embarrassing stuff. So I'm thinking, life can't get any worse. Oh my God, this is so terrible. Really, that was a very shallow way of thinking, because life was doing the Birdman hand rub in the corner saying, Cat, we just getting started. So what ends up happening is I moved back in with my mom. While living with my mom, I remember my mom saying to myself, you should go to the Goodwill Career Center and find a job. And I was so offended, y'all. I've got a master's degree. I am somebody. That's what I'm thinking to myself. And my mom looked me up and down. She said, you ain't got no job. You ain't got no credit. You need to go to the Goodwill Career Center. And I'll never forget, my mother said, you need to humble yourself, Kevin. And you need to go. Now, this is coming from a woman who had been through everything. My mom, after the divorce, my mom had been through everything. And my mom had a master's degree, and my mom was intelligent. So my mom was looking at me like, you're not special because you have a degree. You're special because you're a child of God. Now humble yourself and go to the Goodwill Career Center. How can you argue with that? I go to the Goodwill Career Center. And the guys in the Goodwill Career Center liked me. They took a liking to me. And they asked me to come back another day. I remember I had a job interview one day at a newspaper, but ultimately it was a door-to-door sales job. And I realized in 2012, nobody was buying newspaper subscriptions anymore. And that job wasn't going to go anywhere. They were expecting you to pretty much work a 13-hour day just to get a decent minimum wage. It wasn't worth it. So I said, okay, this isn't going to work. So the guys at the Goodwill Career Center, they said, Kevin, we think you actually are qualified to be a career advisor. We think you could do what we do, helping people find jobs, get resumes. You speak very well. We think that you could even teach classes on public speaking. I said, what? I said, yeah. They asked me to apply for the job. I did. Write a resume. I did. They introduced me to the head of the program of career advisors in Los Angeles who actually had an office based in Victorville, which was super random. And I got a job. I got a job. So I end up working in Hollywood as a career advisor. And I remember my dad saying, "Well, son, I guess you made it. You're working in Hollywood." My dad thinks he's a comedian. It's very funny. And in doing that, I was helping young people, homeless people, find jobs and housing and eat food. Every day we'd be handing out little Debbie, little Girl Scout cookies. While doing this, I was hot-shotting at night as a DJ. DJ, what am I talking about? As a video editor. Any kind of video or odd job I could get doing video work. I remember doing a commercial for the Shutter Shades company, those cool sunglasses with blinds in them that Kanye West used to wear. I remember doing video work for LA Gears, or the company that owns LA Gear sneakers that light up, just getting internships, doing all kinds of projects around the city. Anything that I could get, I would do because I was still chasing this dream of video production. After about a year in Hollywood, I got a promotion and I got sent to the city of Pomona. Little did I know, Pomona, California was one of the most underserved cities in Los Angeles County. I fell in love with the people in Pomona, but it broke my heart to see the lack of resources that Pomona had for its residents. People talk about Linwood or Compton or Inglewood back in the day, but right now, in present time, Pomona was a very, very underserved community. And being a career advisor was great, but the stories I was hearing about these young people's living conditions, when I would take them home, when I would see where they live, it was appalling. I remember a woman I worked with at that career center. God bless her. She was such a good woman. I won't say her name to keep her life private. But she died while I was a career advisor. And I'll never forget that the day she died, I was living in Phoenix at the time. And we'll get to how I moved to Phoenix, Arizona. I went to her funeral, and my boss, Miss Levi's, she couldn't stay for the entire funeral. And I asked where she was going, and she said, "I have to open the career center." And I realized that day that something my dad used to always tell me was very true. He said, the world doesn't stop for anybody. Kings and presidents die every day, and the world keeps going. And how true is that? And that goes back to the idea of happiness and why it's so important to be happy. Well, that woman who I was dating while I was in grad school, she and I were in a long distance on again, off again relationship. She was in Phoenix. I was in Los Angeles. If I didn't have any money, I would hop on a Greyhound and come see her in Phoenix. When I finally got a car, I would gas it up and come see her on the weekends. And I was spending a lot of time with her. I remember my dad used to always look at me and say, "Why does she never come to visit you in California? Why are you always going to her? This don't make no sense." And I'm like, come on, daddy. He's just hating on the players. Happiness. And that's what this whole thing is about. Happiness, the social construction of happiness. Something that I think is very true to understand about happiness is that if you have to work overtime or extremely hard to preserve your happiness, that thing in which you are preserving may not be truly what makes you happy. Happiness truly comes from within. You should be able to be happy sitting down under a tree eating an apple. You should be happy taking a walk by yourself. You should be happy because of who you are as a person inside. You should be happy because of your relationship with God. You should be happy because you woke up in the morning. Your happiness shouldn't come from taking a long trip to go see a person. And then when you're not with that person, all of a sudden your happiness fades. That makes no sense. But I was too young and naive to understand this. So fast forward, make a long story short. One day I'm in Pomona in my office, and the head of the Goodwill of Southern California, the vice president, she comes to our office and says, "Okay, guys, we don't know if we're going to get funding for the Pomona office next year. So if you guys want to start applying for jobs, you are allowed to do that on your work time." I totally forgot that I applied for a job as a career advisor with the Goodwill of Central Arizona because I was trying to come to Arizona to be closer with this woman who I was seeing. The week that we found out that we weren't getting funded the next year, I got invited to interview for a career advisor job in Phoenix. I said, this must be God. Sometimes opportunities that come your way are not necessarily a blessing from God. Sometimes it truly are, as a friend of mine's mother would say, you working it. And in working something, sometimes things work out. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they are designed for you or destined for you. But God can make anything a great thing. So what happens is I come to Arizona, I interview for the job. At this time in my life, I'd never interviewed for a job that I didn't get. And I said to myself, God, if I get this job, I'm going to propose to my girlfriend. It must be a sign. If my father was here right now, he'd call me a simp. Say simp. And my brother was here, he'd say simp. Come through, get the job that week, propose to this woman. We're engaged. Everybody's happy. But that truly was not supposed to be the course of my life as I reflect on it now. What I was doing was trying to artificially create my happiness instead of just being happy. The social construct of happiness in my mind was black marriage, black family, the Cosbys, education. We did everything the right way, buy a house, have a dog, have some kids. And those things came. Fast forward, those things came. We bought a house. We had a dog. We had a beautiful, amazing child. Adi, say what's up.
What's up?
She's still here. And life was good. Now, of course, I'm leaving out a lot of ups and downs that I've experienced. Just trying not to make this thing too long. I've already been talking to you guys for 23 minutes. Then one day, my wife wakes up and says she doesn't want to be married anymore. She says, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. She literally said to me, your dreams are bigger than mine. And as long as we are married, I will always be in your shadow. I'll always be known as our daughter's mom. And I will always be known as Kevin's wife. I said, God damn it, ain't that enough? Aren't those great titles to have? No, not for her, they weren't. What came after that was a series of unfortunate events. We decided to sell our house. Not something that she wanted to do, but I thought, well, if you're the reason why our marriage is ending, we are going to sell the house and split the proceeds. We had an amazing child. We started having to go to family court to figure out 50-50 custody, visitation, that type of thing. We had to try and figure out how to be co-parents. And that, honestly, has been the most difficult thing to ever happen in my adult life. I did not realize that as a man, your wife deciding one day to leave and there being no infidelity and there being no abuse, the type of effect that has on you as a man. I found myself in a very depressed state. And for the first time in my life, I was living as an adult on my own. Mind you, I never had an apartment on my own as an adult. Never. It was always dorms, or I was back home living with my parents. It wasn't until I was engaged that I had my own apartment, but it was with a woman. I would recommend for young men to adult on your own first. Understand who you are first before you commit to someone, because truly to know who you are at all stages of your life helps you better make decisions at all stages of your life. But my social construction of happiness was a very antiquated one, something that was old, something that people would understand as a form of happiness maybe 20 or 30 years ago. I think I was living my parents' generation's ideals instead of my own. I remember waking up one morning and walking into the kitchen, and I was holding a knife in my hand, and I did not have any memorization of getting out of bed and walking to the kitchen and why I had a knife in my hand and my arm sticking out. I just remembered that I was very sad and I felt like I lost my family. And I remember talking to myself as a third person. And I said, Kevin, put this knife away. What the heck is wrong with you? Never had this. So here's this. I already named Bill Cosby, and now I'm going to name another controversial person. There's a song about R. Kelly. What's it called? I don't remember the name of it, but it goes, I can't sleep, baby. I can't eat, baby. Something without you. And the whole song is about how hard it is for him because his woman left him. And that song helped me. I used to listen to that song every single morning in the shower. And the song True by Lloyd. And thank God for music, because those songs really helped me get through that very depressed, dark time. So I thought to myself, what would make me happy? What is it that would make me happy right now? And it was the ladies. I was like, you know what? Forget this depressing. I'm finna start dating. And I didn't know that a player still had it. Man, I became a serial dater. I was dating all kinds of women. And that too was a social construction of happiness. I thought that the more that I could see a woman, the more that I could kiss a woman, the more that I could take a woman out for Thai food. Funny story, there's this Thai food restaurant right next to my apartments. And I took all of my dates there. And it got so bad that the waitresses started laughing at me because every week I'd be in there with a new woman. And when I met the woman who I'm with right now, who I've been with for the last year and a half we've been together, do you know COVID hit and that restaurant shut down indoor seating? You can only order food to go. I said, that's probably a sign from God. That's mad funny to me when I think about the social construction of that. You got to pay attention to the little things that are around you, because God is a funny, funny guy. And he shows you little things. I realized I didn't need to be dating anymore, but there was a lot. Maybe if I write a book one day, I'll explain all these dates. It was a lot. I was a serial dater. I didn't know that I had so much game. It was ridiculous. For all the young men listening to this right now, it's okay to be a serial dater, but it's not okay to mistreat women. And I thought that's exactly what I was doing. I'm treating these women fair. I'm letting them all know, I'm recently divorced, I'm depressed, and I'm sad, and I'm just trying to, enjoy myself. That's not necessarily okay. That's not necessarily okay, as I found out. I don't regret my player ways, but that did not bring me happiness. The social construction of happiness is this. If I'm going to sell you a product and I can promise you that this product or this activity will make you happy, I'm going to tell it to you no matter what it is. There are countless rap songs about being a player. There are countless rap songs about getting money. There are countless rap songs about being a gangster. And I liken this to rap because that's the most popular genre of music on the planet and my favorite. I'm not going to front. But there's also a new generation of rappers coming up right now. Moray, Rod Wave, and several others who are what we call depressed rappers. Or I think the term is struggle rap. When you talk about, all the struggles, all the hardships that you've been through. And the irony about that is that I guess there's a happiness that's coming from that, but it's also just as dangerous as anything else, because I don't want you guys to think that a hardship is good or earns you stripes. What I'm trying to say is that there is a construction to everything. And your social construction of happiness should not be contingent upon something that you see on TV, hear in a song, read about in a book, unless it's the Bible, to be dead honest with you. There's a passage in the Bible that says, truly, the only things in your life that you can control is the food that you eat and the friends that you have. And ultimately, the understanding of that is life is a puzzle and life is random. And that's also what makes life very beautiful. But if you are relying upon a particular thing in your life to make you happy, you will not be happy. You should be happy because you're alive. Too Short, one of the most ratchet rappers of all time. Another cat from California, the Bay Area. I love Too Short. But ironically, I think he wrote the most positive rap song of all time. And even though all his songs are about sex and selling drugs, Too Short, I think, wrote the best song about happiness. And it goes, let me holler at your partner. Spit this game in your ear for a minute. Quit complaining about how you can't spend it, cause you don't got it. You got what it takes, but not enough to get started. I hope you get the message. No, it's not a test, it's just me riding legit. They can't arrest me or bust me. I'm still hungry. I want some more stuff. Get fat and watch my whole crew blow up. So get yours and buy my new album. Peep the game, don't be like Calvin. Get everything you want, get real, get a deal, get your girl to make bail and get yourself out of jail. You should be getting it. Everything you want, everything you dreamed of. Never have to front. You should be getting it. Getting money. I'm talking about you black, don't laugh, it ain't funny. You should get a good... I could go on and on spitting all the bars from this song, but ultimately the point of the song is that you should be getting it. And to me, getting it is getting happy. And getting happy is having a relationship with God and truly idealizing good things in your life. There's so many passages in the Bible that say focus on the word of God, focus on God, and ultimately focus on the good stuff. Stop focusing on the negative stuff, because I've been there. I focused on my divorce. I focused on my depression. I focused on people making fun of me when I was younger. I focused on being told no so many times when I was just trying to make a movie or make a music video. I was focusing on all the times that somebody dissed me. I was focused on being poor, living with my mom after my parents got a divorce, and literally eating ramen noodles for dinner and lunch and breakfast. And I remember living in a motel with my mom and taking a shower with brown, dirty, running water. I remember all the horrible stuff. But I remember when I was truly happy at Shaw University with no money in my pocket, living in the boys' dorms. I remember how happy I was because my happiness came from within, and I was grateful to God for everything He'd given me. And that's what I'm returning to at this ripe old age of 34 years old. Being happy for the things that are around me, the people who are in my life, and the blessings that God has given me. That is how you construct your own happiness. Do not base your happiness on anything you see on television or anything you read in a newspaper or anything you see on TV, because it's artificial. Your happiness comes from you, and God is in you. Be happy. Thank you.
Check it out. It's your man KP, and I like to teach. Not the smartest man in the world, but I like to read. Coming with some straight facts that you got to see. You're now rocking with your boy, Vin Arc MP.